Have you noticed that no matter how hard you chase happiness, it never seems to last? That's not your failure, it's by design. What if I told you that psychologists have discovered happiness and joy are completely different emotions and only one of them can be sustainable? The happiness industry sells you moments, but today I'm going to show you how to build a life of joy that persists even when things get difficult. In the next 12.5 minutes, I'll share 8 science-backed practices that neuropsychologists have proven can rewire your brain for lasting joy, not the fleeting happiness most people waste their lives chasing. Before we dive in, let me introduce myself. I've spent the last decade researching the psychology of sustainable positive emotions. What I discovered changed everything about how I approach well-being. Here's what we'll cover today. First, the crucial difference between happiness and joy and why confusing them makes you miserable. Next, the 8 science-backed practices that build your neurological capacity for joy. Finally, how to combine these into a simple daily routine that takes just minutes. If you stay until the end, I'll share the one practice that multiplies the effect of all others, something most joy researchers miss entirely. Here's the fundamental distinction most people miss. Happiness depends on external circumstances, while joy is internally generated. Neuroscience confirms this isn't just philosophy. Happiness activates your brain's reward pathways temporarily, while joy strengthens connections between your prefrontal cortex and emotional regulation centers, creating lasting resilience. This distinction explains why you can feel profound joy even during difficult times. While happiness constantly slips through your fingers despite perfect circumstances, the most profound implication: joy can be cultivated through intentional practice. It's a skill, not just a random emotion. Which brings us to our first practice. The first joy practice is specific gratitude, but there's a crucial distinction most people miss. General gratitude, I'm grateful for my health, barely moves the needle on your neural pathways. Specific gratitude, however, creates new neural connections with each detailed appreciation. For example, instead of "I'm grateful for my friend," try "I'm grateful for how Maria listened attentively during lunch today," asking thoughtful follow-up questions that made me feel truly seen. Research from UC Berkeley found that this specificity creates twice the positive emotional impact and builds stronger neural pathways for noticing the good in your daily life. Write 3 specific gratitudes daily. Include 3 sensory details in each. Express why it matters on 3 levels: thought, feeling, meaning. This takes only 2 minutes, but fundamentally reshapes how your brain processes daily experiences. The second practice is cultivating flow states. Those moments when you're so absorbed in an activity that time seems to disappear. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's research revealed that people report the highest levels of joy not during passive leisure, but during challenging activities that demand full presence. The neurological magic happens because flow deactivates your default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for rumination and self-criticism, while activating neural circuits associated with peak performance and satisfaction. Identify 2 to 3 activities that naturally absorb your attention. Schedule non-negotiable time for them weekly. Gradually increase the challenge level to maintain engagement. Remove all distractions during these periods. The key insight: flow is about process, not outcome. When you focus on the experience rather than achievement, joy emerges naturally. Before we continue, let me bust the biggest myth about joy practices. More is not better. Research shows that consistency trumps quantity every time. A Stanford study found that 2 minutes of daily gratitude outperformed 30 minutes once a week. The same principle applies to all joy practices. Neural pathways strengthen through consistent activation, not occasional deep dives. Keep this in mind as we explore the remaining practices. It's not about adding hours to your day, but about transforming moments you already have. The third joy practice is cultivating meaningful social connection. Harvard's 80-year study on happiness discovered that the quality of our relationships was the single strongest predictor of well-being, stronger than wealth, fame, IQ, or social class. But here's what's fascinating. Research shows it's not about having many friends or constant social interaction. Instead, moments of genuine connection, where you feel truly seen and understood, trigger oxytocin release and activate your brain's joy circuits. Identify one daily interaction to transform. Could be with barista, colleague, family. Ask one question that goes beyond the surface. Practice active listening, eye contact, no interrupting follow-up questions. Express genuine appreciation for the insight shared. Even brief but meaningful connections create more lasting joy than hours of shallow interaction. The fourth practice is joyful movement, with an emphasis on joy, not exercise. Neuroscience has confirmed that physical movement triggers endorphin release, but research from Kelly McGonigal shows that approaching movement with joy rather than obligation amplifies these benefits dramatically. The key insight: movement doesn't need to be intense or prolonged to trigger joy. Even 30 seconds of playful movement can shift your neurochemistry. Identify movements that feel good rather than impressive. Dance to one song when you wake up. Take joy. Micro breaks, 30 seconds of stretching, walking, or playful movement. Combine movement with nature when possible, which research shows doubles the positive impact. Remember, the goal isn't exercise, it's joy activation through movement. The fifth practice is nature connection. Fascinating research from Japan on forest bathing shows that just 20 minutes in natural settings reduces cortisol, your stress hormone, by up to 13% while activating the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and digest mode. What's most remarkable is that even viewing nature images or having indoor plants creates measurable shifts in your neurochemistry. Spend 20 minutes in a natural setting daily if possible. Engage all 5 senses deliberately during this time. If outdoor access is limited, incorporate natural elements indoors. Try sky breaks throughout your day, 60 seconds looking at the sky. The research is clear. Nature connection isn't a luxury, it's a neurological necessity for joy. We've covered 5 practices so far: specific gratitude, flow states, meaningful connection, joyful movement, and nature immersion. Which one resonates most with you? Pause the video and let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear which practice you're excited to try first. Now, let's explore the final 3 practices. And these might surprise you, as they're often overlooked in conventional happiness advice. The 6th practice is mindfulness, but with a specific focus on joy recognition rather than general awareness. Research from John Kabat-Zinn shows that mindfulness actually heightens your capacity to notice positive states that are already present, but often go unrecognized. Most people miss this crucial aspect of mindfulness. It's not just about stress reduction, but about enhancing your perception of good things already present in your experience. Start with 3 to 5 minute daily practice. Focus attention on what feels good in your current experience. Notice physical sensations of joy in your body. Practice joy anchoring, connecting present, pleasant moments to your breath. This practice literally rewires your attention system to notice joy that was always there but previously filtered out. The 7th practice is creative expression without judgment. Neuroimaging studies show that creative activity, regardless of skill level, activates the brain's reward centers similar to those triggered by food or social connection. The critical insight is that process matters more than product. When you create without judgment, focusing on experience rather than outcome, your brain releases a steady stream of dopamine and serotonin, key neurochemicals for joy. Schedule 15 minutes weekly for creative expression. Choose an activity with no performance pressure. Focus on sensory experience, not outcome. Refuse to evaluate the quality of what you create. This approach transforms creativity from a performance into a joy practice accessible to everyone, regardless of artistic ability. The eighth and final practice is acts of kindness, which research shows benefits the giver even more than the receiver. Studies from the University of Oxford have found that performing small acts of kindness triggers activity in your brain's pleasure centers while reducing activity in the amygdala, your fear response center. What's fascinating is that the size of the act doesn't correlate with the neurological benefit. Small regular acts create more lasting joy than occasional grand gestures. Look for one small kindness opportunity daily. Focus on the intrinsic reward rather than recognition. Notice how kindness affects your own emotional state. Create kindness triggers, specific situations that prompt a small, kind action. The research suggests that kindness creates a positive feedback loop. The more you practice it, the more natural and joy-inducing it becomes. Now for the powerful insight I promised. Pawsey, these practices work synergistically. Research shows that combining practices creates compound effects greater than the sum of individual benefits. Here's how to implement this as a system rather than isolated practices. The 2-2-2 method. 2 minutes of specific gratitude each morning. 2 minutes of mindful joy recognition midday. 2 minutes of kindness reflection each evening. This core routine takes just 6 minutes daily, but creates a foundation for naturally integrating the other practices throughout your day. The most overlooked insight from joy research is that these aren't just nice activities. They're deliberate neural training that literally rewires your brain over time. Joy differs fundamentally from happiness as a deeper, more sustainable emotional state that can be intentionally cultivated through daily practices. The key distinction to remember is this: happiness happens to you, joy grows within you. If this approach resonates with you, hit subscribe for more evidence-based psychological insights you can apply immediately. And let me know in the comments which of these practices you'll try first. I read and respond to every comment. Remember, joy isn't something you find, it's something you build, one small practice at a time.